Is it okay to cut off a narcissistic parent? My mom is manipulative and makes me feel drained and guilty all the time, but I still feel bad about the idea of cutting her off. Is it okay to go no contact with a narcissistic parent, or is there another way to manage the relationship?
Yes, cut them off. Yeah, I know it's case by case, but in short, absolutely. I think that one of the things that you get conditioned by a narcissist with is that you don't have self-leadership. You feel guilty to make any decisions for yourself because you've never learned how to make any decisions for yourself. It's always been about the narcissist being pleased. So it naturally brings up a sense of, do I dare do something that's right for me when I've been trained and conditioned to make sure somebody else is pleased, not me? So whether it's cutting off a narcissistic parent or applying even boundaries, like even not cutting them off completely, but just the boundaries, really brings up a lot of natural guilt and fear of being disloyal, of being bad, of being like a failure, whatever. But that's just part of the game. That's why people that have been raised in those environments struggle so much with having appropriate boundaries to protect their own energy and emotional and mental well-being.
Yeah. So I was also thinking about this, and I think one of the biggest, because I kind of started to make a list, like a list of things. Why is it okay to cut off a narcissistic parent? Well, first, like I think if you have or are constantly in the presence of a narcissistic parent, it really takes a toll on your mental health. And
Mhm.
that affects so many different aspects of your life. Like if you're all the time anxious, feel guilty, have to deal with those interactions and all that. So that I was like, okay, well, it's okay because your mental health matters because that allows you to heal and leads to better
Mhm.
emotional health. And also, I think one very big one that I think really resonated with me is that they have already broken the relationship. If you really think
Yes.
about what has already happened over the years, all
Yeah.
the actions and behaviors they have done, and all the inactions that they haven't been there, they haven't, all that. If you look at the whole history, it's
Mhm.
already broken, very
Yeah.
broken. So I think cutting off then just symbolizes and acknowledges the reality of what
Yeah,
has happened.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you said that. Because another thing I think, it's hard to just land in a space where you feel like you can trust your decision because again, that's part of the conditioning is to have this sense of hope. Which, if I said, about somebody, trying to figure out how to please them and how to find favor in them and everything. It's like there's always this sense of maybe tomorrow will be better, maybe next week will be better, maybe this next interaction will be better because we idolize the parent so much. We have this feeling of romanticism almost. It will be better sometime. I just have to wait. And then, of course, it becomes the parents getting older. So I'm bad if I, then turn my back on an aging parent. But I agree with what you said. They've already destroyed, any. I mean, maybe I'm being extreme here, but I don't think I am. Any hope for really having a safe connection with them because it's been based in a game and lies and being very advantageous and opportunistic at the hands of the most vulnerable. So, if anything, I think that a person should just seek how they manage that guilt, maybe, but give themselves permission to know how they set up the boundaries. And perhaps it's like you play with it a little bit. Maybe for some people it feels a little too abrupt to just cut them off. So maybe you have to just test the waters and see what improves with me if I start creating a little more boundaries. I mean, we know that they're not going to like it, but maybe there's some hope that, you can kind of tweak things a little bit and find something that works while you're still sort of connected with them. But at the end of the day, you have to give yourself permission to trust your body and how you're feeling and know that some of those narcissistic parents, it's probably in your best interest to cut the cord, sort of, and just let it go because you can't serve two masters and their rights or their feelings of what they deserve are always going to try and take over whatever you feel you deserve. So you can't like it kind of just keeps the torment going.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for that. And so also because part of the kind of comment or question was also like, okay, like what are alternatives then for the no contact? You already kind of said like, well, set boundaries, test the waters.
Yeah.
So to make sure that I understand what this means in practice, so it could be like low contact, you see
Mhm.
them less, or
Mhm.
maybe you stop seeing them altogether and have phone calls instead or text or that kind of
Yeah,
communication that you are not in a physical presence
absolutely.
with them, or
Yeah.
you really are like just yeah, reduce that. And then if you do interact with them, you use methods like I don't know, biff, like brief, friendly,
Yeah,
informative,
yeah,
firm, and kind of, or you are very, how do I say it, very clear, or that you are very cautious about what you share, what you
mhm,
talk about,
yeah,
and that these are all kind of alternatives to the no
yeah,
contact.
yeah,
And I would just like kind of because I have been in that situation and still kind of am that I share very little, or I'm very cautious about what I talk about, and I don't really like, I have limited drastically how much I see them physically.
yeah,
It always just creates more kind of sadness when you then do engage with them in this limited way, because it's a constant reminder that this is the quote unquote death that this
yeah, it
relation,
is.
like,
It's
it's
grief, right? You're grieving somebody who's still alive, that is your mom or your dad, somebody important in your life, and then you're realizing that you can't have what you're thinking you should have or what's expected. It's just not there. When I did this myself in my own life, like I was just paying attention to the fact that my body would get so activated, and it didn't even matter if there was anything necessarily happening. My body was telling me that it was used to the fact that it never knew what to expect, and it was taking a toll. And I think a thing for people to remember is even cutting the contact, you still have a lot of healing to do because your body is held on to so much stress and tension in navigating that relationship, that the hangover from that is a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of limited risk taking, even in the things that you otherwise might want to do, the grieving of what you thought you would have, kind of realizing, was I never important? Like, do I not matter? Like, is this really it? So it's quite complicated. So just for your listeners to know, the first step is absolutely understanding, what do I need to do to preserve my well-being, but also not to forget that there's still going to be some consequences, that once you cut that contact off, you're coming home to yourself, and you really have to start understanding, I've got a lot of work now that I need to prioritize, because I've been prioritizing this person for so long. It may feel very awkward to start realizing I've forgotten about myself. And
hmm
I've got a lot of stuff that's going to have to be attended to now. So I can't serve two masters. I'm going to maybe cut that person off so I can finally take care of the things I need to within myself.
yeah. Now reflecting, it definitely got worse, like after kind of, because all of a sudden the attention that has been in the relationship and managing
Yeah,
it, like that releases into the
yeah,
damage, and then
yeah,
you see it fully, and it kind of makes things worse, but
yeah.
it's the start of something better. So
Yeah. And I'm just going to say one more thing to that.
yeah.
If you are in a family where there are siblings, again, part of the potential issues may be that other members aren't going to do that. And they may point out that you are being disrespectful and it's not that bad. Because remember, part of the chaos and drama is everybody's experiencing something maybe a little bit different from the narcissist. So you can very easily feel like you're making the wrong decision if you have siblings that you think have shared something like the same experience as you, but their situation may be different. They may not have the courage to, it might not have been as bad. They may rather just continue to abide by those rules to maintain the connection, especially if there's maybe financial gain or financial dependency or something. So you have to remember, it doesn't matter. This is about self-leadership and you becoming more connected to yourself and not anybody's opinions and anybody's criticisms. It's about trusting your need to do what's right for you.